go ahead and get started. So we're going to start with just kind of a recap on some things and discussion, and then we're going to go outside. That'll give a chance too for a few others to maybe get here before we step outside and do something totally new. And hopefully they'll be able to be here for that. So we're going to start from the very beginning. Networking, that was our first week. So what's going well? Networking, what's going well? We talked about where you're networking, what is specific for you, where you can network and do better than another agent can network and do better, could be different. What is personal to you that you can enjoy and still create business? So what's going well?
What's not? She said she's been to too many bars lately.
I don't drink a lot, but I've been out a lot. I mean, okay, that's a lot. I can drink, yeah. It was Super Bowl, I got a party Sunday, and, yeah, so.
Anybody else? What's going well?
Well, still again with substituting sometimes, so I
Yes.
just go in and always bring it up. Like if someone's talking about moving or about, sitting in a crowd, if I hear someone starting a conversation, I'll weasel my way in and then
Yes.
kind of start questioning things. So being around people.
Yes.
And then, I
You
know it's really
fun in
shouldn't.
your backpack.
I'll leave it on their desk because it's soliciting
No,
this,
oh,
but
the
I'm also, no,
Don't say put it in the kid's backpack.
you're trouble. No, I don't know. I don't know if they would or not, but it's making a good connection.
Good. I'm curious, it may not be an option. This is where I learned from you right now. So is it something that you're able to go to like the principal of the school and see if there's a list of new teachers that may be getting ready to come on board? That you can get into to them before they even get there? Maybe
Probably.
if they're coming from out of town, they might need a place to buy.
That's a good idea. And actually, I met a teacher that had just moved here this year. He's from Hawaii, but he rented, so he's getting ready.
From Hawaii?
Yeah, he transferred from Hawaii.
Oh my
because of cost of
goodness.
living. And I was like, I'll switch.
Wow, right. Wow.
No, so it's opening.
Maybe, it is something worth asking. My belief is always ask. The answer may be no, but what if it's yes? And you just didn't know it was gonna be yes. So do we have any new teachers coming in from out of town?
I don't want to step on Liz's, another agent in our group, her territory, because she also creates little school calendars and whatnot that are magnets, and it's her actual colleagues.
Gotcha.
So I'm kind
Okay.
of trying to not,
Okay, right.
overstep
Right.
either, but.
Yes,
yeah,
sure.
So it's good.
It might be worth asking.
Maybe y'all could work together. Right, and we talked about that too, and
Because-
putting together a little basket.
Yes.
That like have cookies and whatnot in it.
Exactly. Those new teachers coming in that are transferring in, that could be a perfect
In
opportunity.
church, I know you shouldn't a whole lot in church, but you talk to a lot of people. on Sunday.
Oh, that's where we make biggest connections, really. That is, I know, I hear what you're saying, but it is about connection at the church as well. So absolutely. No. Yes. Anybody else? What's going well? And your networking. I still love your idea about the coffee shop that brings in allows the dogs, and you've made that connection with the dogs, which then allowed you to go, and here's my card. That was awesome.
Asking them to like my rescue page and then giving them my card, so they have my name is pretty smooth, I will say.
Spot on.
I was impressed
Perfect.
myself.
I know,
Like,
right?
why did you just get your card in their hand?
Absolutely. Oh my,
It's hard to spell.
that was a
you know?
great-
It's easier to read it. Yeah.
with what you do. Again, we talked about, you don't have to like back out of the personal things because you feel so busy making connections. The personal things is where the connections begin. That's where they start and they're real. So that couldn't have been more perfect. Absolutely. You're passionate about it with the dogs. You're connecting with the dogs there, and then you're connecting with their owners.
I
Yeah.
thought of something for her. I met with like Bull County, well, it's expensive. I met with Bull County Good Neighbor or whatever it's called. You know what I'm talking about? The free magazine that goes out Madison County. There's one, I think, too. But they've got a page that like you choose to sponsor the pet page. And then there's articles.
There's one in
Is there phantom?
I love that.
And I thought, oh, that might be good for her.
Anybody else that's had anything that's like, this is going really well? I wasn't doing my yoga and I really love it, but I've been so busy, I haven't been able to get to it. And I told you about the yoga that happens in Richmond up at the winery. And after they finish yoga, they go right into sitting down and hanging out and having a glass of wine. And let me tell you, that's where the connections are happening. So don't back away and out of things that you really enjoy and want to be a part of because you feel so busy with trying to make the connections when your connections and the real connections, because it's what you love, are going to happen.
So you were the one that was saying this week, not me, but let me just point this out. I met Crystal Nichols at my gym. I met Mary Francis through another contact. How did we meet? Were you referred to me?
No, well,
We met outside of real estate, but,
yeah, outside, yeah.
I sold her house. She's now, a realtor of ours.
Exactly.
We have a common friend.
We have a common friend.
Yeah.
I met her in years of business. I met you all in different ways, but some of them were so not even intended. Never even
Yes.
considered that it would happen. And that's exactly what she's talking about.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
it's just, I was doing my day-to-day life and I met people and they wound up making.
In those
making
places
it.
that you never expected,
Mhm.
that feel so personal, I shouldn't be doing this because I need to be working.
Mhm.
That's
Like
the
my dating
best.
life.
That's the best connections. It really is the best connections. Because then it's personal and I don't like using the word obligation because it's not an obligation. They want to come to you because they've got to know you. You've gained their trust. They want to come to you. And that's what you want. Those are the people who are going to bring you other people, their families, their friends. Mindset. Carrot, egg, or coffee bean. How's it going? What's going well? Have you found places where you were a carrot and you realized I've been a carrot and this has got to stop? Or I've become an egg, or maybe a combination of both and I got to stop. And you became instead the coffee bean instead of letting the environment transform you, how you transform your environment around you and control the things that you can. Anybody? What's going well?
I joined the food pantry board, this week, or 2 weeks ago, and then I just volunteer 2 hours a week at the food pantry.
Nice.
And what I would say, what I love about whatever you join, our brand is the most recognizable. You can simply wear something Remax without having to talk about who you are all the time, and so people immediately know you're a realtor. And then you just ask people what they do, and then they ask what you do. It's so easy. So easy.
Transforming your environment. Yeah, like you said, wearing the shirt and now you're making coffee
Mhm.
instead. Yeah, I love it. What about time management? What's going well?
Therapy.
Oh,
Which I recommend.
yes.
It's been a while, I need to get back in there.
Hey.
What this homework has reminded me of is I need some boundaries. And
Yes.
so like, for me to be able to have time to enjoy working and taking on new people and, I mean, I need some boundaries.
Yes.
I'm really bad at it. So I think with mindset and changing your environment means changing your mind. Your
Yes,
mindset. And
absolutely.
and so I'm trying to change that mindset to, I don't have to do all
Yes.
the things.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's-
And remember, it's about, you have to make time to make time. So make sure in your calendar, you're scheduling 30 minutes a week, not a day, a week, that you're scheduling your next week. You have to plan time to plan time. Plan the time that you're going to look at next week and put everything in place, the meetings you have, the 2 hours at the food bank, making sure you get to the coffee shop and run into the dog owners. You're making time to make time. You got to schedule it. And yes,
You can't
boundaries.
just say yes all the time because then your schedule's
Yes.
crap.
There's a book called The Best Yes. If you all ever interested, it's a great book. It's The Best Yes. And sometimes there are things we have to say no to. And setting boundaries, let's be very honest about this. Setting boundaries are going to really piss some people off. But the boundaries is about protecting you. And if they don't know how to respect that boundary and realize what you're doing and that you'll make time to be with them, do whatever that is, to go have coffee with, okay, then just let them be mad. But most likely, when they kind of realize what's going on, they come back around, they get over it.
Well, I think as realtors too, we like to have a certain image of, we got this.
Yes,
And even, that's beautiful. But if you're actually not dealing with it and giving yourself that grace, then
Right.
it's very overwhelming. So
Right, right.
people's, they don't know until they know. You tell them, hey, I'm struggling. over
Yes.
here. I just need a break.
right,
And they do usually respect that.
yes. What about problem solving? We did that last week. Remember all of the Post-it notes? Which I'll still be getting and I know you'll have the video, but the report to Christy about the different categories that we had of things that you would like to have addressed more of. And the biggest one was how you all truly want to be able to come together and really learn from one another. And grow, because you have those who are very well established and are very successful, those that are still learning, and that coming together, and also knowing that you want to celebrate. You all want to come together and celebrate the things, even the little things, coming together, because that camaraderie is huge.
Okay, let me say something.
Mhm.
I met with somebody yesterday, not anywhere. Well, you'll figure it out by the next. You don't guess. I met with somebody yesterday and they talked about a meeting that their office had every single week. And I listened to her. I said, okay. I said, so tell me what you get out of it. Truly, what do you get out of that meeting? Every single week, week in, week out. Do you go? She said, I attend most of them. I said, okay, what do you get out of it? And she said, a lot of times it's someone that just says something and I go, huh, okay, I could do that. Or I had that issue and I didn't really think of that solution, or blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. I said, are there a mixture? Like I started really asking, are there a mixture of producers? Are there this and that? And she said, yeah. And I said, then how do you get the group to come together? Because we've tried several different times to get groups of individuals together and no one comes. We literally spend weeks and weeks, and I point to Tara, but she just did the last 6 sessions of something. And like, people will just not show up. And it takes a lot of effort on our part to put these things together for people just to not show up.
Mhm.
So here's my commitment to you, but you have to give me something back.
Mhm.
We will make an effort, if that's what you truly want, to get together, to have a camaraderie thing where we all get together and we talk about things and we hash out issues and we just build upon each other. Okay, we'll do that. But you guys have to make a commitment that you're gonna reach out to your fellow REMAX agents and say, get your butt to this meeting. This is for you. This isn't for Christy. This isn't for Kara. This isn't for the others. This is for you. Get your butt here. Why aren't you here today? Because that's what she told me they did. If they were in this room and there was somebody who hadn't been to 2 or 3, they would send out a message to that person and go, why aren't you here? So
I will.
There has to be a commitment on the other side of
I
that.
would put in the effort
Yes,
if you guys are.
yes.
I'm a part of this because these two were.
Yeah, I know you are. I was like, oh, yeah.
I'll throw something out, because I didn't put this on my Post-it note, but I thought about it after we went through that exercise. The monthly market updates that we used to do was super helpful for me. I feel like the biggest problem, like you said, people aren't showing up, accessibility, we're all out, we all have different schedules, everything's crazy pants. I always love those Zooms, because I would have it, I had my car mount, and even if I was in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes it was cutting in and out, I was still there and I was paying attention. Justin might come on, he talked about what was going on. The most valuable part of that to me, outside of Justin's, stats and things, was when we were kind of talking back, like a dialogue would start where we would talk about like what we're all experiencing, and we would realize, okay, you're seeing this too, I'm seeing this too. And so maybe if you tweaked the monthly market update into whatever the new version of it is, but did like a Google form with some overarching things, so that there was some information for you to start, like, lead into those conversations. Hey, we're seeing everybody saying this about this, and then there's that was what was so, I love that. I love that,
Yes.
collaborative
Mhm.
thing of everybody talking about what they're dealing with and going through.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be in person, it can be.
No, I love
Yes.
the Zoom. It was handy.
And I know last week we talked about, there was that category ended up being the most, is wanting that in-person meeting as well. I love the idea that it was funny how it worked out. Someone said, donuts and coffee on Friday morning, and then someone else said drinks after work on Friday afternoon. So do 1 week Friday, do 1 week Friday donuts and coffee at a coffee shop or somewhere. And then the next Friday, doing after work, whoever wants to go have a drink and go sit and talk. Because here's the deal. Even when you're out, even when you're getting together and you're sitting, I'll never forget this. This was years ago. So a group of coaches, so I don't know how many of you realize the International Coach Federation is right here in Lexington. This is our international office and it's right here. So there's a group of us that get together. We just get to, and it's not, end up talking business. I mean, it's crazy to think we're not. But it's about coming together personally and connecting. So we met at the coffee shop in Chevy Chase. And there's one of those big community tables that they have. I don't know if it's still there or not because this happened several years ago. But we're all just sitting around this big community table and we're laughing and we're talking and we're having the best time. And then, yes, we end up talking business and it just kept going. And we were supposed to be there for an hour. Now it's been an hour and a half. And those who had to leave, went ahead and left, but the rest. So we were just having the biggest time talking about coaching, yes, but also just personal level of connecting. And there was like a small group over here, 3 people, and this guy got up and he came over to our table. He goes, okay, I figured it out. You all are coaches, because I could hear, I'm sorry, they could not help not hear us. You all are a bunch of coaches. This is awesome to see you all get together like this. And that's when someone said, well, ICF is here in Lexington and this is our Lexington group. And he stood there and talked to us forever. He goes, I never really knew that much about coaching before. He said, I always thought it was kind of a counseling thing. And I realized that's not what it is. That guy stood there and talked to us probably 10 or 15 minutes. Everyone around us when we left knew that we were coaches. There was no doubt. So yes, even that just going out personally and just sitting with a group and having coffee. And it's inevitable you're going to talk about work as well. And you just never know what's going to happen around you. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, I remember that very well because the guy was very, well, I know you all are coaches now. So, okay. How are the videos going? How's everyone doing? What's going well? Oh, videos. Oh.
Angel Lucy has done amazing. The funniest thing that anyone has ever. Ha
Just like videos, what videos?
I don't know what she did, and I really didn't intend to stay this long, I just apparently don't want to go home and micromanage. Well, she went into an elevator, hit the button, and gave me her elevator speech until it was like.
Oh, awesome.
Like,
Nice.
and I just said, that absolutely was hilarious.
Nice.
And it was just like, okay, you're cute.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. That's funny. That's good.
Attention.
That's
So,
funny. Oh, I love it.
genuinely,
Post it.
those are the kind
Yeah,
of
that
things.
one I have not posted yet. I'm trying to get a feeling for it.
Yeah, you should post it and be like, I was forced to do this. So it was.
I love it. That's awesome.
I've seen a bunch of videos popping up, even though.
That is awesome.
Tony did one that was really crazy. Other people have posted.
I only posted 2 of the 5. Some of them were here, and the other ones, I don't know.
The
Yes.
ones- Oh,
Yes.
last week.
Yes.
Well, Paul made this video.
Right.
Yes. last week.
I think
Well,
there may be
Video.
like platforms that are-
Yeah, there was a list. Yeah.
There wasn't?
And I think
It was a separate page.
It just had this on it.
Oh.
It didn't really say that it was a video.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
It was the back sheet. And so Paul told me, I'm not gonna make any.
Yeah, so I do
But I
have
didn't
that,
want
but
to
I didn't
know
know what that meant. I thought it was talking points for something else.
Oh, okay.
This is what you get when you have a man. It's not clear. Paul, if you can hear me on Zoom, that's fine. Yeah.
What I got from it was I learned some stuff, like how to make the videos. I took mine and did it into CapCut, something like that. But yeah, videos, I decided, I don't know what I did a lot of still frame shots, native video. cause I'm just not so sure people wanna look at me. And,
Girl, stop.
Yeah, they do.
well, you know.
So now we talk about the itty bitty shitty committee, right?
On that board a lot.
Yes. Now we talk about that, yes.
That's right, so that's what I have not learned, is that you can,
You
I mean,
might
there's
figure
layer
it-
and split, I'll figure that out, but I learned a lot of, you
It's
know,
just
how to
voiceover.
fade the music, and so I learned a lot from just doing the video.
Nice.
Voiceover makes me feel good because what stops me from doing videos is you have to like look nice, and I prefer to not look nice until I have to, and so.
There's that.
No, I prefer the voiceover.
And one of the things we also talked about was, social media was one of those categories, right? And we talked about how Paul, what ideas, have you all given him ideas yet? Have you sent him a list of things I would like to see a video about how to do blank? Can you do a video on this and send it to us so we learn something?
You know, an email this week. I don't know if
Okay.
Everybody saw it, but it was instructions on, I think, how to find the music to go with your videos.
Okay.
And it was a step by step.
And I would, because eventually he's gonna say, I don't know what you all want. So if you have something you've been working on or you want to learn, you'd like to do, start creating that list and just send it to him saying, hey, Paul, I would love it if you could do a video on how to, and then what is that? Create the list. That way it gives him his week to week, what is he going to put together and send out to you guys? Because he's all over that.
I saw a thing that was food for thought. It said, you're not unattractive, you're just used to your own face.
Oh.
So when you say like, nobody wants to look at me, like I'm bored, it's because you're bored of me. They're like, oh, somebody has food talking, because they're.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll post my, elevator speech. You should.
And then just don't really look at it if you don't want to. You can like always interact with the comments and whatnot, and just watch it again if you'd rather not see it.
I'm sorry, but I am writing that one down.
I'll video and I'll hate the video, and even though it's probably the best one I did out of 5, so I'll post it and then I just won't go back and watch it again.
That's what.
Yeah, and just let it go. Just let it go. Right, right, just let it go.
The shame, I don't not, it doesn't take, I do whatever, so I don't know why I'm so hesitant to just throw it out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just build that wall up. I did that in other areas. And
Yeah.
It's like you just gotta break it down.
And it's that voice on the side of our head that says, no one wants to see me, no one, and we have to tell that committee to sit down and shut up. Because you're impeding on my business and I gotta get this done, so just stop. And then change how you're talking to yourself.
And out loud.
And
Let's
out
do that.
loud, yes, yes, absolutely. It does make a difference. It does matter. Yeah.
I was like, that's not fair to my right there.
All right, I think we have everybody here that's going to be here today, it seems like. So we're getting ready to go outside. How many have ever heard of right brain, left brain? Okay, so this is what we're going to be talking about. And here's the deal. This will help you when you're working with clients to know how they think, so you know how to change your language to them. It doesn't mean it changes your language, because we're going to find out what your language is while we're out here. But it helps you recognize when you know what they mean, when you're talking with someone, it helps you, if you have to kind of just adjust a little bit to give them what they need to hear to understand what you're trying to get through. Whether it be how a contract works, whether it be whatever that is, it helps you to recognize them, because we're going to talk about what each side means and the recognition of those signs that you will see now in everybody that you communicate with, even your family members. And we'll talk about one of the offices that I worked with in Richmond, the entire staff, and what ended up happening. It was eye-opening, and it changed everything. So we're going to have some fun. It does. I was going to say, if you want to wear your sunglasses, feel free, but it doesn't even look like are these, I don't know, are these,
They are tinted.
are they tinted? Okay, so feel free to wear your sunglasses if you want. If you get cold, maybe to have on a jacket.
We take our notebook.
Nope, won't need your notebooks because we'll come back in and talk about everything. I'll take a good drink before we go out. I would wear my sunglasses, except that I need my reading glasses. Restroom, what? I think we have what, 2 more?
I wanna be able to stay for so long.
And then my side, my leg is
All right. So we're going to talk about what all of this means now. I know we have just a couple more that will be coming back in here. And then we're going to talk about everything and what it means. So when I said right brain, left brain, who was more right brain? Who was on the right side? Who was on the right? Who was on the left?
We're all kind of sitting on them.
That's exactly why I was asking. Right brain, it almost happens every time. Whatever direction the presentation is coming from, people will sit either on my left side if they're left brain or the right side if they're right brain. There will be some that will just kind of cross, and they may sit because there's just a more available seat or because it's with a friend or something for sure. But it's almost inevitable that it will be the majority of people will sit that way. There's only been like 2 times I can think of, the many times I've done this, that it didn't turn out that way, but almost every time. Isn't that crazy?
And that's in your extremes too.
Isn't that crazy? So it also depicts where we actually sit, where we choose to sit. I will tell you before we get started, I am typically about 2 steps to the right. It's where I fall as well. So first I'm going to go through what these things mean. I'm just going to give you some information and then we're going to talk about it as well. So left brain people, very sequential in things. You're very time-based on many things, like it's time, I got to go, got to do this. Analysis is your thing. You really like to analyze issues, projects, whatever.
People call us judgy. We're just
Yeah. We just can't help it. And this is how we're hardwired. Guys, this is how we're hardwired. This is not about right or wrong. Just because someone is at a different place than you when everything stopped, it just means they're wired differently. That's all. This has nothing to do with, I get this and it cracks me up. Right or left has nothing to do with politics. It is not. It is not. Left brain people continue, very uniform about things, very objective. you reason many things. And it's pretty much like one way, that this is the way I want to do it. This is the way it needs to be done. Black and white. Okay.
What leaves here?
Right.
Yeah, very little room for gray. Or if there's any gray, it's kind of a dark gray before it goes black. Okay, so also with left brain people, you respond to verbal instructions better. You problem solve by logically and sequentially look for at all the parts of something. You look for differences. You're planned and structured. You prefer established certain information. You prefer talking and writing. You prefer multiple choice tests.
Wait, prefer talking and writing versus what?
You just prefer that. You prefer, like if there's instructions or something, you prefer writing, like the notes or the, yes.
Note taking?
What is the opposite then? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Oh, and we'll come to the opposite. Yeah, we'll come.
Or do?
Left brain still, you prefer multiple choice, test. And you control your feelings a little bit more. And you prefer rank structure of authority. Like there's this person and then there's the downline. You don't want to know who's in charge and who's the next person in charge. You like that ranked authority. Okay.
What Enneagram would that be?
You know, I'm not sure why I don't do Enneagram and not certified in that one. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Are you certified in Myers-Briggs?
No, mine's, which is one of the things we'll be talking about here in a little bit. We'll be doing the Strengths Finder assessment. Yeah.
Done that.
Okay. Let's talk about the right brain. You prefer like just more space, more open space of things. Having the space to do things. You are more concrete in things. You are more unique. You're more subjective. Things are more internal for a right brain person. More feelings based. Remember, left brain was more reason based. And right brain people, like, there are many ways to do something, not just one. More on the right brain. You respond to demonstrated instructions, like show me how to do it. Problem solves with hunches, looks for patterns and configurations. You look for similarities. If you remember, left brain, you look for differences. Right brain people are more fluid and spontaneous. You prefer kind of elusive, uncertain information. And we're really going to talk about that one here in just a minute. Prefers drawings and manipulating objects. You know, you like to move things around periodically. The right brain person, every 6 months to a year, you got to change the room. You got to change the furniture, move something around. You prefer open-ended questions. If you remember, the other was multiple choice test. Right brain people prefer open-ended questions. You're more free with your feelings. And you prefer more of the collegial authority structure, meaning, remember the left brain is like you like the hierarchy. Who's the boss? Who's the manager? And goes down the line. Whereas right brain people more like, there may be positions, but you know what? We're all in this together and we're a team. All right. As I said, I am 2 steps to the right. If you are 2 steps to the right or left, we're going to come back to that because it also means something.
Is that a less than or greater than, like, Sierra and I were 1 step to the right? So is it like within 2 steps or it has to be exactly 2?
2 steps from the center. There was only one person that was 2 steps. Yes. Who was it? I said, remember, you're 2 steps to the right. It was you, wasn't it? Everybody else beyond, you were the only one that fell in that. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but everyone else was pretty much right or left. Now, it may mean if you're not 10 steps to the left, okay, you're pretty much left. There's not much right brain. You're pretty much all the way over to the left, and everything in there is you abide by every one of those. So I was working with an insurance office in Richmond, and there were 5 employees. So I was doing individual coaching sessions with each of the employees. Then I was doing group coaching sessions, kind of like this, except we're doing kind of more coaching than training and teaching. One of the guys that worked in the office kept saying, I just don't know what to do. I feel like I'm on an island here. I can never do anything right. I can't get anyone to talk to me, to help me understand. I feel like I'm on an island. I do not fit in this office. There's something wrong with me. When we finished this exercise, 4 of the employees were all the way to the right,
Oh.
and he could not have gotten further. Every step he took was to the left. He is so left brain. It's like,
Did you do this with Mary?
this is it. Oh, I tell you, it's gotten interesting with,
Yeah.
it's gotten very, very interesting. He was he was up against a fence. Cause I thought we've got plenty of room, cause usually people go back and forth. You know, you go right, you go left, you go right, you go left. I never imagined that fence would be in the way. He could not have gone any further than he did. And when I stopped and went, and I looked over his face and he's going, and he looks back at me and he said, I told you, I don't fit in here. It was crazy. I've never had one that extreme. All other employees were right brain. And I don't mean 2 steps to the right. They may have been like 5 steps. They were kind of midway of center and all the way right. So left brain people, when you're talking to someone who's left brain, you're going to be able to figure them out because they need to hear, if there's instructions, they need A, B, C, D. Show it to me in writing. Give me the instructions. I'll follow it to a T, A, B, C, D. When you're talking to a left brain person, you need to give them the steps. You can't just hand it to them and say, here's this and here's what I need you to do, and walk away. They need instructions because that's the way they're hardwired. The right brain person, it's kind of like A, D, and they like to figure out B and C. They love figuring out their own way of doing something or making something happen. And they will get it done. Aside from the A, B, C, D, they'll get the job done. They just like trying to figure out their own way with things. And it may be 2 + 2 is 4, but so is 3 + 1. They will still get the job done. They just like maybe figuring out a different way that works for them. And that's okay. So if you hand a project to someone who's right brain and you say, here's what I need from you, and you start going into this and then that, and then boom, 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 they're going to start zoning out. They want to hear, here's the project, here's the outcome that I need. If you have any questions, let me know. Here's some instructions, to look at, and then you walk away. Derek was so left brain. He needed, and he's learning, he's like only been an agent for like 3 or 4 months. So here's what would happen. Even the insurance agent himself, as well as the other employees, would walk in and say, hey, Derek, here's what we need. And they'd hand you this and they'd give him a little bit of blurb of what's going on. And then they would turn and walk out. Because that's the way they do it. And they'd walk away and he'd go, I don't know what to do. He felt overwhelmed. He felt, in his words, stupid. And he didn't know what to do. And he would just sit there. So what started happening? He started shutting down. He just started shutting down. When he would go to them and start asking questions, I need A, B, C, D, they'd be like, he just doesn't get it. He's never going to get it. They weren't giving him what he needed. He was on an island. And when all this came about, and they realized what they needed to do when they handed something to him, even though it was outside of their zone of the way they spoke, right brain, they had to take that time to give him the instructions, the A, B, C, D, because otherwise he was being set up to fail. They didn't know that. They didn't know what was going on. He had to have the instructions, not just the, hey, here you go. This is what the outcome needs to be, or here's the training you need. Let me know if you have any questions. And they just turn and walk out. Yeah. So it's not about changing your language. Your right brain, your right brain, your left brain, your left brain. But if you're able to understand a client and you can start seeing the signs of whether they're right or left brain, you will then be able to, if I said I can speak Spanish, which I can't, but if I say that, it doesn't mean if I speak it that it changes my primary language to English. I wish I could speak Spanish. It doesn't change your language. English is still your primary language. So it doesn't change your language. It just means you now know how to spot it, understand it, and know what the other person needs to be able to get to the point that you're trying to get them to.
Is there like top 3 questions that instead of 20?
No, it's, yeah, it's very, there's a reason these are put together the way they are. Yes.
Be nice to,
Yeah.
you could ask them and could be, while you're showing a house, hey, well, how would you handle this?
Yeah. And and that's not a bad way to actually kind of bring that up. What do you think? If they start going to how they're going to change a room and they're going to paint this, and they're going to, and all of a sudden they're getting that creative, they're right brain.
Well, sometimes you can talk about careers too.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
Engineers and left brains.
Do you want an accountant who's right brain?
No.
No.
Yes, because they're more likely to be willing to go to jail for you.
Yeah, right, yes. And there'll be a little more creative with the numbers, maybe, yes. But you don't want, yeah, just like you don't want a, would you want a yoga instructor who's left brain?
Boring.
Yeah, come on, you gotta be able to do this. No. So you'll be able to distinguish, just listen to what they're saying about particular rooms. What would they do? Oh, I like this. I wouldn't change a thing. My desk will go right here. But if they're changing the wallpaper and they're changing the carpet and they're changing what, you're talking to a right brain person. Okay, 2 steps to the right or left from center. These people can speak both languages pretty well. They're pretty fluid in both languages. They can understand both right and left brain pretty quickly and change at the drop of a hat. And they can just go there on either side pretty well. Don't get a big head. I had to not get a big head either because I'm 2 to the right, but they actually call it a golden brain. I know, right?
So 1 step to the right is not the same, because we were 1 step, but you're saying it has to be 2?
You all were further from center. From center. You all were a little bit, 2 from the center, 1 or 2 steps from the center. But you all were more like 3 steps. Yeah.
I analyzed it, believe
Yeah.
it or not.
But do you recognize that? It's like, usually I don't analyze these things. Yes,
I was like,
yes.
it's really close to this line right
Yes.
here.
So that means you're able to really understand both sides pretty quickly.
I'm hearing you say you're sociopath.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to.
And if that's true, I'm right there with you and I'm gonna sit on this side of the table. So I did this for one of the government offices in Madison County. This was several years ago. And now what they were doing was they were having a picnic for employees. And they invited their spouses or their boyfriend, girlfriends, whatever. And so they asked me to come do this. So of course the employees line up and I'm like, no, let's just bring everybody. Spouses, let's just bring everybody, whoever wants to do this. So everyone lines up, we start going back and forth. And I tell you what, I know the rain is like, no one wants to get out in the rain, but I love doing this when it's raining because then I tell everyone, I watch the weather ahead of time. So I've been watching the weather for today since last week going, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Are we going to have a pretty day? I think we're going to have a pretty day. But I've done this during the rain. And I tell everyone then, not a jacket, but bring your umbrella or both. So all the umbrellas are up. And man, when it starts going back and forth, and all of a sudden everyone's got a different color, different kind of umbrella, and they're going back and forth. And it's almost like this dance. You see this dance of colors. This is my right brain kicking in. I get it. Do you see the different colors going back and forth and back and forth? And it's really cool to watch this when it's raining and everyone has the different umbrellas. That's when I love it. But so I do it for this government office. Everyone lines up, not just the employees, but their spouses, their fiancés, whatever. When we finished, there was a couple that was engaged. When we finished, she was the one that was about halfway between center and left, and he was more towards center and right. And they looked across at each other. And you saw them go. No wonder we struggle. And we have disagreements the way we do. Next comment. Maybe we shouldn't get married. And I'm going, no. If anything, now that you understand each other's language and live that, understand it, and then respect it, and doesn't mean you're not gonna have disagreements and you gotta find a middle ground. But this is actually the best thing you can know about each other, because now you know that's just the way he thinks. And you've got to learn to become okay with that or understand that's where he's coming from. He can't help it. He thinks that way. And you're not going to change it. And vice versa. And understand to say, you know what, it's okay. She just really enjoys whatever. And that's okay. So actually, it's the best thing that can happen to family, couples, churches. You know, if you've got groups in the church, it's really something that helps people just understand. I have worked with offices and there's been some conflict among employees. And when they finish, they're on opposite sides. And I say, look around. And I know you all don't work together that often, so I didn't do that today. But if they're working in the office together every day, all day long, I say, if there's someone in the office that you're struggling with, like there's conflict, where are they right now? Where are they right now? And you see them go, oh, that's why we have this conflict going on all the time, because we get so caught in our left or right that we just think, what's wrong with them? And then it begins. So I love doing this for groups. I've done this for fraternities. I've done this for so many different groups, and it's always fun and fascinating to see where everyone lands. And I will send these pictures to Christy. And then I'll explain right brain, left brain in my notes to her so she can see where everybody is. So now when she works with you all, or you all are working with her, I would love for Christy to be a part of this. I think I kind of know where she might be. What do you all think?
Left.
It's, yeah, I would think left. Probably about 4 steps to the left, I would kind of assume. But I would love to have seen her be a part of this and see where she landed. Because I think it probably would be more left. She'd be on this side of the table.
My right brain pattern recognition self was thinking of this while you're talking. So when we went to Arcourt last year, I can't pronounce this guy's name. His first name's Barris, like Boris, but with an A. He wrote this book called 7 Golden Keys of Real Estate Success, and he taught the class the art and science of adding value. But it's interesting because it reminds me of this conversation, of this thing that he talked about, communication as love languages. So he was talking about how, like, you could have a potential client and you might like email them 5 times and they never respond. You call them once they answer. Or you might call them and never get them to answer, leave them voicemails, whatever. You text them and they're like texting back with you.
Yes.
And I thought that was really interesting. And I remember that being a takeaway that I've repeated a bunch of times. And I think
It's
that
because the
probably
other
has to
person,
do
are they right
with-
brain or left brain?
Yeah, it probably ties into
Yeah,
that.
it's not personal. It's just how are they hardwired? Depicts how they are going to respond. It's not personal that they're ignoring you or they don't. It's just to them, if they're not answering quickly or not, they're going to be more likely right brain. But if they are like every moment, they're more left brain. Absolutely. It's not personal. It's just, it's the way they look at it. They get your text and they go, oh, I'll answer it later. And then they forget and then they get to it tomorrow. Then by then you're already texting again, hey, and they're like, oh, man. And then it's the way they're wired. It's just the way they're wired.
I don't like getting gifts and texts. Gets my ever-living nerves.
Yes.
But I've had clients that is how they communicate.
Yes,
And you have to just learn to say yes.
I'm 2 steps to the right. I love my gifts. I love them. I love them, love them. I love them.
The other option that I would not send a gift, if someone sends me a gift, then
Right.
I know that that's what they prefer.
We are totally
Yes.
opposite.
So how, I mean, it just shows how appropriate this whole conversation is, talking about gifts.
We are totally.
And it's very real. I guarantee you, it's a right brain person that created gifts. No doubt, no doubt. But the right brain, I'm sorry, left brain person is in the one in the back running the numbers on how's this gonna work? How many times, they're the ones doing that part in the back. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, what made them think of sending a gift? Like, it would never even occur to me.
Yes, right. You would never think to do that. Yeah, I love my gifts. I do. When I'm sending a happy birthday to someone, I'm scrolling through to find the best gift that suits them because I know them. I'm like, oh, it's that one. Oh, I love it.
So much joy.
It does. They have the new one that's like the little smiley emoji with the little birthday cap on and the little horn blowing thing. And he blows it and it explodes into several little ones. And I'm like, I love this one. It's like, that's my one for 2024. Everybody's getting this gift.
You
I
ever
love it.
collage your emojis in your text to see how your week went?
Oh, yes.
I love doing that with all.
Yes, because a couple of weeks ago, I noticed that the little poop emoji came up quite a bit. It was like in my first 2 lines. Yes, yes, yeah, yes, yeah, like what? Yes, okay, for next week, here's what's gonna happen. So we're not gonna meet again till the 29th, 3 weeks from today, okay? On leap day. Did everyone bring me a business card that I had requested? And if you didn't, could you do me a favor and write down your email address for me on a piece of paper and send it forward? I need an email address. And if you prefer a different email address than your work one, please do that as well. That's okay. I'm completely fine with that. So at least a week before our next meeting. So that would be, so if we're meeting the 29th, I'm going to pull up my calendar because I need to see this. I need to have a good, okay. I'm going to be sending you an assessment link. And it's the Strengths Finder assessment. It will come from Gallup. And I do mean that Gallup that you hear about on TV a lot. The Gallup surveys say. It comes from Gallup, Gallup. So when you see it, no, it's a link that I am sending you. When you give yourself about 30 minutes to complete this. Now you've got 3 weeks to do it. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You've got 3 weeks.
Do it.
Make time.
Yes, please put it in your calendar somewhere. I need you to complete it, and I'll put this in an email to you, okay? So it's okay. You will need to complete it. If we're getting together the 29th, I will need to have it from you by
The 22nd?
I will need to have it from you by the 21st or 22nd, probably the 22nd. And the only reason I'm hesitating on which day is because on the 22nd, I will leave to head out for a cruise. So, and I'd like to have it before I leave.
Otherwise, it's just gonna live with that.
That's an emoji now, by the way. That was funny. I saw that. So, but I'll put it in the email, I'll decide, it'll be probably the 21st. I just need it like a week ahead of time before we get back together, so I can have a chance to go over things. So that will give me a chance to go over them before I leave. Give yourself 30 minutes. Now, I will tell you, and you're timed, and you cannot come back and complete it. You have to do it in that time you are sitting down for it. You are timed. I will tell you now, you will want to analyze, especially left brain people. You're going to want to analyze the answers. No, you've got, I forget what the seconds, how long it is per question. I don't remember how many it is, but they don't want you to overthink this. This is what comes natural to you. The first one that is right for you, answer it.
They're not made to trip you up, like you
No,
can
it's-
answer instinctively.
Answer instinctively. And what's going to happen is a couple of questions down the line, you're going to say, well, that sounded like the one that was over there. I guarantee you, it will sound a lot like the other one over there. There might be one or two words different, but they're going to be very similar. Absolutely. That way they know that it is real for you, that is your definite, it said the same thing kind of, but different words, but yep, that's her spot on. So about 30 minutes, uninterrupted time, close the door, shut off the phone, threaten, do not walk in here. And then when you finish it, the results will automatically come to me. You will also get a report. Feel free to just kind of skim through that. There are 34 traits in this assessment. And here's what I do with this. I have the DISC assessment available to me through the John Maxwell program at a pretty discounted rate, but I don't take it because I love this assessment. I love coaching my clients to their strengths. There are 34 traits. I will get your top 5 because these are your superpowers. And here's what happens is we live our life every day and we don't see it as a superpower. It's just who we are. It's the way I am. But the fact is, these are your superpowers. So then I help weave them together when I'm coaching a client and put on that cape and soar. Because we all do better work and love life more when we're working from our strengths and what we love doing, as opposed to the things we hate. That's when the burnout's going to happen. We start hating our job and we move on. Put me behind a desk doing something, I'm not gonna last. Not gonna last. I'll be there for a little while. It was amazing. I made it in the banking world for 5 years because, man, it was a lot of desk work. But what got me through it was, man, when I was meeting those clients and they were buying their first home, or they were downsizing, or they were getting their big, their dream home. That's what kept me engaged. That was my right brain getting fed. And my second strength is connection. Man, I think we're all connected. Remember, I'm a hugger. I love connection, but it's not everyone's. So what are your strengths? We're going to talk about what your strengths are, and then what are your best positions and what best places you inject yourself into, because it will help you soar even more.
What was your first one?
My first one is maximizer. Yes. Do I remember? Did I tell you about the chef? I have a client who's a private chef. And he picked up this client right before Thanksgiving. There was I can't remember what it's called. It's a big horse event that took place here that moves around the country. It doesn't happen here every year. Yes. So it came here last year. This man bought a farm here in Lexington simply so he could have somewhere to stay when these games were going on. He had a house in Maryland, he bought a house in Kentucky, and then he has a house in Florida. He hired my private chef client to do all of his meals for him while he was in town. When his family came in, all the daily meals he needed. And so when he tells me that, oh, no, he has a house in Maryland, as a maximizer, because I also talk about our barriers and how other people can see us and our strengths. Maximizer, the barrier can be, here's what maximizing does. I'm going, oh my gosh, he's going to love your food so much. He's going to have you come to Maryland and live there during the summer months while he's there. And when he comes to Kentucky, he's going to have you. And when he goes to Florida, he's going to bring you to Florida. You're going to be his full-time chef. And I had to go. Because my chef is going. And I realized what was happening. I was like, oh my gosh, Frank, I'm so sorry. That would be awesome if that would happen. That would be incredible, would it not? Your one and only client, and you get to travel. So I maximize the heck out of that. Barrier is, I can be too much for somebody, and I can see it. I can see when someone backs up in their seat, or they step back, or I get this, or I can be too much. And that is part of the barriers on how people can see me. And I have to be aware of that so I can meet people where they are. So when you know your strengths, you can recognize it and know when. It lets us be a little introspective so we know when we need to, like, oh, okay, for maximizer, I need to just calm my happy ass down just a little bit. But my second is connection. Whew, we're all in this together. I love meeting people and doing this. Yeah. So yes, so we'll go over your top strengths. And depending on the time we have that day, we might only get to do the top 3, and then I'll be glad to meet with you all to do your remaining 2. Call, get together, I don't care. But I want to be able to cover everybody, at least your top 3.
Like individually?
Yes, we'll do it actually in all of it's just like this. We'll do them, and it's fascinating. And I love coaching my clients to it because now I know what, if someone's top strength is achiever, man, I know they're not achiever. They're not in, I'll use real estate. They're not in this. I mean, some of you are in here to make a living. Some of you are in here to make a killing. The achievers, they're in it to make a killing. So, but we'll go through those, and it's just, it's awesome. It is awesome. I love this exercise because it helps me help my clients and helps you understand what your strengths are. So we get you in the right places, whether it's your networking, whatever that is, it's awesome. So it'll come to you, probably by the first of the week, you'll get the link. I'll give you the date, then I'll send an email saying they've been sent. Complete it by this date, please. And remind you that 30 minutes uninterrupted, and that is it.